Look at the lighting. Wow. Did we glow up? It's a shame we got 7 people in chat. What's up, everyone? Hello, hello, hello. I think people are concerned about this stream because there's going to be some of your favorites being ranked. And contrary to popular belief, Cory and America are not 1 and 2. More importantly, I know you guys don't care about me. America might not be ranked number 1. So, I don't. I think it's very understandable, and I recognize and empathize with all of you who are deciding to sit this stream out. Here's the thing: there was 2 paths I could go when ranking Big Brother players. Path number 1. This is what I think scholars would call the appropriate path, which is don't rank your girlfriend or rank her comically high, like first, because she's your favorite person in the world. That's option 1. I opted for option 2, which was objectively analyze everyone's games and treat her as if she was just another house guest I was watching on TV. And that's why I think my rankings are held to such high esteem. On the Survivor Reddit a couple days ago, they were discussing my rankings for Survivor 50, likelihood to win. They were mentioning how high I had Jonathan, and it led to a really good discussion. And that's because when it comes to Big Brother player rankings and just rankings in general, the Rich Tapestry really has taken up its own life. That made it sound like the Rich Tapestry committed suicide. It's taken on a life of its own. And more importantly, as an objective ranksman, I have a duty to uphold. Anyways, what's up, guys? Rick, thanks for the 2 years. Appreciate you. If you guys did not know, that is super fan Rick. I thought he was on the cruise right now. Apparently not. What's up, Marina? sorry, Marina. Marinara. I still think I'm ranked too high. I mean, America thinks that she's better than Quinn. America's still ranked number 1 in our hearts. See, that's where we differ. Just Suri has too much of a body of work. America's easily number 2 in my heart. But you have to understand the nostalgia of watching Suri at such a young age. How many inches did you get in Boston? Whoa, Tom. Whoa. Oh. I think like 24, America said. America is genuinely my top 5 BBUS players and how much I like them. Okay, obviously that's an incredible compliment, but it sounds shady to me. Who's ahead of America? And I'll tell you reasons why you shouldn't like them. Outside of the game reasons, too. America would never put allies up on NHOH. That's the beauty of America's game. Weren't that many allies to put up. Unless she was going to nominate me. I think Cameron was an ally, Jag was an ally, and it's kind of the list. Bowie Jane at times, right? I will say, though, that is, I have America ranked, I think, appropriately. I prefer America's playstyle to most other people. Or like, I think there's 2 different things of, like, sometimes you're comparing players and they have very similar resumes, and it's like, okay, what playstyle do I prefer? I think America's playstyle is, like, so fun to watch on Big Brother, which is, like, scrappy on the bottom, wants to take big swings. As opposed to, honestly, like, my playstyle, which is try to play from the middle / high end of the house and whittle down numbers and wait for your moment. I think mine's more reliable, but, everyone's got to play to their strengths. I think America legitimately does well in most seasons because she'll be underestimated. Yeah, for sure. I think 25 was a bit of a nightmare setup, but there's a lot of nightmare setups in BB seasons. Like, BB 23 is a nightmare setup for a lot of people. Like, it just kind of depends. America or Vanessa for her number 1. Vanessa's great. Tries me. Look, I'm Team America, but Vanessa is a valid favorite player of all time. Vanessa, Rachel, Taylor, and Brittany. Which Brittany? I could definitely assume which Brittany, but I'm gonna incorrectly assume you mean Brittany D'Angelo. And I like that. It's based. The way you predicted she would finish 6th early on was wild. Well, who got 6th last season? It was Lauren. Who got 6th the season before? It was Angela, but, Leah was kind of that person. There's just, like, a part of the season where players in that mold usually fall. Hades. I figured. But yeah, it's freezing outside. America had me do a bit of a photo shoot, or I guess she did a photo shoot with I was the cameraman. Still don't feel my hands. It's been 8 hours. It's probably been like 6 hours, 7 hours. Still can't feel my hands. Crazy. They're purple. And then America left the living room to go take a nap, or not even take a nap, just like edit in bed. Turned off the heater. Didn't realize till 5 seconds ago. So I could see my own breath in here. It's 72 degrees, but feels a lot colder. By next winter, you'll be used to it. I think that's false, right? Hey, bub, isn't it the kind of thing where like it's like miserable? You never get used to miserable cold. I thought that's how it works. Like, it's kind of the same thing with heights. Some people on the challenge have talked about this, where like you never get used to heights if you're scared of heights. You definitely get used to the cold, but like 6 degrees, like do you ever get used to the single digits? Thank you, Anita. Like I feel like I'm already pretty good with 30-degree weather, 25-degree weather, 40-degree. That's all fine. The 6-degree weather is like I don't even feel cold because I'm so bundled up, but my hands and like my toes, like the appendages, is that the right word? They just get so pain, like they're stinging in pain. Your body acclimates within 14 days. Interesting. Fascinating. I've lived in New England or colder my whole life, and I've never remotely gotten used to single digits. Yeah, I think there's probably like a point of diminishing returns with it. The first 50-degree day is life-changing. It feels like summer. Yeah, I can imagine. It'll be fun having like a full summer in Boston. We had a very abbreviated summer in Boston this year. Anywho, how are you guys? We're going to be doing player rankings number 33 to number 17 today, giving us an even 16 for the final player rankings. Additionally, I forgot to rank somebody who slipped through. Now, you guys can try to figure out who I forgot to rank. But yeah, they're not in the top 32 players. So we're going to have to go in the backlog a little bit to rank somebody. Cycle between your videos and ETH Animals, so thank you. I gotta make sure that like part of my research is not listening to ETH Animal videos, because then it would just be recycling opinions. But some people are very useful. Like Meridian Review, I just like hearing his takes because he has a take on everything. I don't agree with a lot of his takes. It's just like it's very rare for like, okay, what's this person's opinion on this random player from BB23, and they just have an opinion. Like ETH Animals never made a Whitney video. Move them back to a tie somewhere. No, I just redid it. I didn't have to change too many. As a lifelong Chicagoan, I feel like I got used to the cold. Look, you thought it was warm out today, and it was 6 degrees. It was 8 degrees. I wish I had your strength and power, Sydney. Meridian's super smart, so he articulates his points well. He has one phrase that he says ad nauseum that I really like. Like, I associate that phrase with him now. On the board, he says all the time. He's got like 2 phrases that I feel like he loves. Hating Jagaso 2024. He's not the worst winner. He's definitely not the worst winner, but he's in the convo, right? Okay, let's look at the Reddit, as we always do. See if there's any interesting stuff here. I think Jag will come up on the Reddit, I'm sure. Who's the queen of Big Brother? The true queen. I think it is so objectively Rachel Riley, and it's not close. Danielle's awesome, but she just hasn't played in the new era. The reindeer games is what it is, right? Janelle, nah. Rachel is, in my opinion, that girl, that player. And then June just doesn't really belong, but she's a one-time player. But, you know, for her one season, what a legend. So I think this is pretty clearly Rachel. She never played as early as Janelle, or she doesn't have like a single-digit season, but season 12 at this point feels like forever ago, and obviously she was just on. It's Janelle for some, Rachel for others. It should be Nicole, but she never took it. I mean, this spot should be Nicole, but her personality and her play style, it can't be her. Even if you think she's the best, woman to ever play the game, which I probably think is true. BB16 would have been a vastly better season if it had the blockbuster instead of Battle of the Block. Yes, because the Battle of the Block is the worst twist of all time, and the Blockbuster is like a fine twist. But it would have just been like it wouldn't have been very different. It would have just been the men. Maybe Devin survives another week. Maybe Donnie survives another week. Right? Like it wouldn't have changed much at all. Ultimately, the issue with that season was like the HOHs just remained in power, or the majority alliance had HOH every week, so it just would have been Jocasta versus Hayden versus Donnie in the Battle of the Block or in the Blockbuster. So, um, long season 14 twist posts. Okay, let's just be honest. Season 14 had no right being good, which is why, and this has been proven year after year, a Big Brother season being good or bad is like 80% the cast and 20% production not fucking up the season. The cast on BB14 is so weird because I don't think it's a good cast at all. You get the coaches, which is fun. Frank is good. Danielle is good. Ian is good. And then it's a lot of duds. Like a lot of duds. But you got Dan in the end game, so it's one of the best seasons ever. Battle of the Block over Camp Comeback. I think Battle of the Block's worse. At least season 16's version, because it went so deep into the game. Camp Comeback, at least, after 4 weeks, it's gone. But the coach's twist was genuinely terrible. Like, it was a horrible twist. It was fun to get these players back into the game, but it was not a good twist. It was incredibly overpowered. It basically just gave them all 3 weeks of immunity. And it made like a weird teams dynamic, which is never fun for Big Brother. Coaches in 14 better than the returnees on 18. I mean, they were definitely bigger gets, but I think BB18 had a much stronger cast overall. I think Nicole was great casting, and James I didn't love, but I understood it. Davon was obviously excellent casting, and Frank, I get it, but Jesus. Dan only had 2 rounds of immunity. Well, whose fault was that? I guess Jody for not jumping across the beds fast enough. Brittany's team kicking Willie out was great. That was funny. Who's the most cutthroat player of all time? Or Allison is? Yeah, of course. Top 5 villain for sure. Yeah, it is weird how Big Brother US has such shitty microphones still. I mean, like it's literally just mic pack and then you run the wire through your shirt. And it was funny. Like we would talk to people from past seasons and like pretty far back, and they'd be like, "Ooh, what number microphone were you?" Because every microphone has a number attached to it, and that's like your mic for the season, which signified, oh, they've never changed these. And obviously, when you listen to feeds, whispering is like incomprehensible a lot. You always hear the like rubbing against it. When people are hugging and talking, you hear it gets super muffled. So the necklace mics, they should just have them. They can't be that expensive for 17 of them, 18 of them. They probably need 20 to have backups. Like, I don't know. That's crazy to me. BB27 was a great season. How? Are you actually arguing it's not? That's crazy to me. Love Island mics are better. Agreed. Useless fact: Jen, Kale, Memphis Jerry were nominated as a pair 3 times, and in every case, the HOHs had an initial of D. Yeah, I think this is actually a bad fun fact. Maybe this is a hot take. Bad fun fact because the fact that it's Dan all 3 times kind of makes it less exciting. Bad job, fun fact person. I look forward to your next one, though. But it being 3 Dans is like, okay, well, this doesn't feel very coincidental anymore. So. Who's the king of Big Brother? Paul, Will, Cody, Dan? I actually think the answer to this is Dr. Will. I think we all know Dan's the GOAT, but I think in terms of who's the king, I don't know what arbitrary distinction I'm drawing in my head, but I feel like Dr. Will has to be the king. Right? I don't know if it's because he's like the originator or just how he carries himself. I think Will's the king, but Dan's the GOAT. Why is Cody there? I mean, I think it should just be, instead of Paul, be Derek. But Cody left his imprint on Big Brother. But I think Derek fits here more than Cody. Like I don't know how Cody's here really. I kind of get it. I think Paul, you can't be the king if you haven't won. That's just not how that works. Tyler wouldn't fit here either, so you'd have to replace them. Cody's the prince who was promised. Okay. Cody is Azora High. It's the first time I've heard that one. Is Lightbringer like Enzo? Sorry, I got caught up in my lore for a second. Who's the better blonde bombshell? Janelle. I think in terms of bombshell, Janelle is so much more confrontational. Allison's more cutthroat for sure, but and in fairness, not that this should be the measure, Janelle's more blonde. I feel like when you're doing the blonde bombshell calculation, how blonde you are is like a very important factor, no? And Janelle's like so blonde. Allison's just blonde. So I think Janelle wins this one for sure. What are your expectations for Big Brother's 1,000th episode? There's no chance they do anything special for 1,000 episodes, right? I wouldn't even blame them for not doing anything. I feel like that's kind of an arbitrary thing. Like episode anniversaries. Because I'm going to be honest, Big Brother is a better show if they cut the episodes in half. I'm glad they don't. Like, I want more content, if anything. But, like, in terms of creating captivating TV, Big Brother seasons being 40 episodes is diabolical. Like, it is so bad. Watching BB25, and it was just... these episodes would never fucking end. And I was, like, super into them because I was on the episodes, like... And I still was like, oh, we're almost done. I don't know how casuals just choose to watch it. They should, though. 1,000's a big deal. They'll do, like, Big Brother Unlocked with Julie Chen as the guest. That's my guess. So, do you guys think BB Unlocked's coming back? It seems like it's a no, right? We haven't heard anything either way, but, like, I can't imagine it was a success. Did anyone know the ratings? I think if they just make Unlocked, like, a 30-minute lead-in to Thursday episodes, that'd be pretty awesome. That'd be really fun. They did that during one of the Unlocked, and it was a really good time. So I think that's the sweet spot. BB Unlocked, 30 minutes. I can get on board for that. How well does Hannah Chata do at gaming the token twist on Celebrity Big Brother Quebec 4? It's like fire tokens. I don't know. Hannah's a very smart person, though. I think generally the more game mechanics you add, the better Hannah will do, because she has the capacity to, like, reason through them and actually make plans based on them, as opposed to players who are, like, purely social. Like, the more mechanics, like, Suri is worse with fire tokens than without fire tokens. Suri's best in, like, Big Brother 2. Just go in, social game, one HOH that's a crapshoot, nominees. I think Suri is the best pre-veto Big Brother player of all time. And I don't think that's even a hot take. Like, I just think she would be excellent. Maybe Dr. Will, but, you know. It would just, like, eliminate all of Suri's weaknesses automatically. It is public? Okay. Well, let me actually just fix that right now. I thought I... Because I just don't want them to get, like, flagged. I don't mind having, you know, every now and then them being public. Edit post. I want it paid access. All tiers. Publish. Alright, should be fixed. Okay. Does Suri get cut at 3 on BB2, though? Not necessarily. Right? Like, at that point, it's more consistent to have, like, your number one ally that deep into the game, and Suri can hoodwink someone to take in her to Final 2, especially if she didn't have, like, a huge reputation coming in. Suri on BB25, not being a legend, she has a much better shot of being brought to the end by someone, because it's not, like, a foregone conclusion that she'll win in the end. So, does Tyler win BB20 if he convinces Sam to save Winston with the bonus life? I think that's the worst types of hypothetical. I love hypotheticals. but like you don't know. You have no idea. I do think in general it was good for Tyler to have some level 6 members eliminated along the way. Losing Winston, losing Rachel was good for him because it's like, okay, your alliance is now being whittled down by itself to your core. And a lot of that's a credit to him. Like, he's the one who kind of set up these pieces. Chose to save Brett, chose to save Angela and Casey. Like, I think it's good that he lost these members throughout the season. Otherwise, it becomes like, okay, what the fuck do we do with Brett and Winston in the final 8? They could just win comps. Granted, you got Tyler and Casey, so, it would have been a battle. But I don't know. This was like week 2. Week 3, maybe? Dan Giesing said he would return to BB if they lowered days and increased the prize money. Okay, hot take time. I think I've said this hot take before. I'll say it again. I do not want a shortened Big Brother Legends or Winter Season. Winter Season, I've definitely said before. That's a terrible idea. Just objectively. If they did a 100-day Winter Season, of course I'd watch. But, like, that would just be terrible based on the cast. Everyone would be boring. Now, a shortened 2-week reindeer game style thing, I'm not interested in that because that's not Big Brother. If they want to do it, if it's that or nothing, I guess. Just for something to talk about. But I don't want, like, now are they a 2-time winner because they won the 2-week reindeer games thing? That sounds horrible. And I don't know if they would even do feeds if they did, like, a 2-week thing. I think they'd follow the reindeer games model as opposed to the Celebrity Big Brother or OTT model. Anonymous, thank you for the 5 gifties. It's been a while. I hope you're doing well, Anonymous. I appreciate it. And thank you, Kenzie and Anita. JPR. I don't know if I thanked any subs today. But JPR, thanks for the gift. Anita, Kenzie, and then Anonymous for the 5. Appreciate you guys. Anonymous is going to gift those subs back to me when they see I've ranked America number 32. I feel like AFP would be insufferable to be online. Yeah. I just think it would be a bad idea. Like, the 2-week season. Like, I saw Rob pitching it to Julie on God 101, which was funny because, like, what's Julie going to do? I'm not interested. I want, like, a real Big Brother season. If you're talking 50 days, 12-person cast, sign me up. If it's, like, Big Brother that's just, like, shorter, but not, it's still Big Brother, I'm down. Happy birthday, Zach. That's right. Zach's birthday. Keanu first boot would feed me hard. Yeah, he would have trouble in a legend season. All right, next fun fact. What do we got? Janelle has been nominated alongside every member of the Sovereign Six except Sarah. Another bad job by the fun fact person. Look, I appreciate your effort. I appreciate your contributions to the community and to the discourse. It can't be a fun fact except for blank. It's not a fun fact. That's just like a thing that happened. It's got to be the full thing. But I expect you to take my feedback and go back to the lab and cook up some great fun facts. Or useless facts, rather. Everyday double eviction season? That would be pretty terrible, too. What about a month like Celebrity Big Brother? I would just hope they shrink the cast. If it's 10 to 12, I'm down. America is a 5th alternate winner. I will say, like, Shador Sanders is like a 5th alternate QB in the Pro Bowl. Some people get there. Except for that one, it's not a fact, yeah. The Big Brother cruise, who we got? We got Casey. I believe this is Casey's girlfriend. Derek, Keanu. I believe this is Keanu's girlfriend. Danielle Reyes, the Bainesboroughs, and Paul. I thought Tucker was supposed to be here. Maybe just not in the picture, maybe not on the boat. Hope they're having a good time. Of course, I did a BB cruise. I'm not going to criticize. I will say, I think it's a group that's odd to me because it's like, it feels like there's a ton of big name factor, but not a ton of online people who would go on the cruise factor. But I don't know I don't know how big the cruise is. You know what I mean? I feel like Danielle's a big get. Keanu's probably the biggest get of the whole thing, which is kind of funny. Even more than like Paul, because that's just how Big Brother fans work. But yeah, hope they're having a good time. Can't be much worse than the last one, right? No cohesion. I mean, I think there's a certain vibe to the people here, right? Like this group makes sense to me. What else do we got? How do you feel about a season full of people that are connected to previous house guests? Controversial, but no harm meant. I don't feel Will made moves in BB27. I don't think that's a hot take, and that's kind of what I said when I ranked him lower than a lot of people would have. This I think is a bad idea. First of all, it's just kind of a bummer that it's all nepotism. I understand the irony of me saying that, but I think you're kind of unserious if you think I was just cast because I was Zach's brother. Like, they don't give a shit about Zach in that way, right? And they wouldn't give a shit about any Survivor player unless you were like Russell Hans or a huge deal. Maybe Suri being on the cast was more vital. I think the bigger issue would be like you'd have to find siblings or people related to cast members that like would be cast on their own merits, and it's just a much smaller pool. Like I think you saw on The Amazing Race with the Big Brother crossover, like it's extremely rare for the loved one to be more interesting than the main cast member, right? I mean, I think like Lexi and Angela, obviously Lexi is well worth casting as a Jazz. Like there's obviously people you can get. I just think it wouldn't like it's not perfect. You know, you need to find like the perfect group, and there'd be so much pre-gaming, but like the pre-gaming would be through their relatives, and the online discussion surrounding the season would be a nightmare. I think it's just a bad idea. I think this is a bad idea. I think if you're gonna do this, just do the BB 18 version and like cast Polly Calafiore and Tiffany Russo, and call it a day. Cast Jazz and Lexi, or Paige, you know, and that'll be fine. Being Zach Ward's brother was definitely a factor in getting chosen earlier in the RHAP draft, and people thinking you're gonna play with Cerise, so like nothing that had to do with the game. I think it like to be fair, I had the best pregame press. I won Quinn's pregame interviews BB25 competition. I don't like talking about my own successes, but when other people talk about them, I like elevating their discussions. Wouldn't anyone be anxious about being on BB? Yeah. But you either cast people who don't know that they should be anxious, or you cast people who are anxious and want to do it anyways. Or people who are just fearless. But I do think, like, if I wasn't connected to Zach, I still think I'm probably top 5 pick. I think most people pick, like, Jag and Jared in some order, and then, like, me, America, Mimi as, like, the next 3. If Suri, if you know she's on the cast, Suri, obviously. But I just think, like, I came off pretty normal. If you could pick one Survivor player to play BB with a cast of newbies, who would you pick? With a cast of newbies? Ugh. I don't like that. I don't know. I wouldn't want it to be someone who's that good. Like, if you're choosing a legend, I would want someone like Tony. Just because he'd be so paranoid. Crazy answer. I'm watching Survivor 37 right now on the Patreon. We just posted episodes 4 and 5. Natalie Cole would be a great choice. There's a lot of people. Jeremy from that season. I don't remember Jeremy, but he was insane. Who is the other girl who was voted out, betrayed by Alec? She was also very fun. There's a lot of people on this season who, like, I think would be great on Big Brother. Gabby, I think, would be very fun. Natalia, yeah, Natalia, I think would be a great time at Big Brother. I think she'd be like Paloma if Paloma could keep it together. Boston Rob would be the worst choice of all time. I would not watch that season. He'd win, but that'd be miserable. You're being spoiled by my rewatcher. Hey, I posted it before. You should have already 4x speeded it at this rate. Anywho, let's do the player rankings. Who's ready? Who's ready? Oh my. So first, I need to show you the revision I made. Because we have a new 43rd ranked player of all time, who I forgot to talk about last time. Ready? Coming in at number 43, before we jump down to number 32. Azza. I swear, when I was doing my rankings previously, I had Azza being ranked in and around this spot. But I don't know, somehow she slipped through. When I was shuffling things around, she got removed, and I never added her back. But I have Azza right before Mimi and right after Catherine. So better than Catherine, worse than Mimi. That's where I have Azza. Now, let's talk about Azza versus Mimi, because obviously Azza got second, Mimi got 10th. I think in general, Azza's a very good social player. People liked Azza. She's insulated by the cookout, and it's really hard to grade some of these members of the cookout who were less active strategically because, like, I don't want to say had a free ride because they all had to keep the alliance secret, and they all won competitions, and they all sat on the block. They all did their part. But Azza, I think, was not among the more active members of the cookout. It was just probably her and Big D. And once it whittles down to the cookout, she does a really bad job. I mean, she wins the final 6 HOH and targets the girls instead of X and Kyland, which is like, on its face, it should have been obvious what had to happen. And then we get to a final 3 where, like, she's going to win and take Xavier over Big D, which is a ridiculous decision. That's a decision where even, like, in the moment, she probably would have said, I lose unanimously to Xavier, I win unanimously against Big D, and I'm still going to make this choice. Final 5 HOH, my bad. Final 5. She got third, not second. I always think she got second because she should have gotten second. Anywho. I just think Azza is such a clear case of, like, she had a very easy path to the end, and then every time she had a chance to maximize her chances, she, like, did the opposite. She minimized her chances. At Final 5, targeting Hannah is ridiculous. It's like an insane decision instead of targeting at least Kyland. Was Big D taking Azza? I don't think so, but obviously Big D's not even getting to part 3. The taking X decision alone knocks her down like 20 spots. Because I think a lot of us want to give her credit and be like, look, Azza was so close to winning the game. She wins and takes Big D. She wins the season. But she wouldn't have done that. So I think in a future season, if she gets in that similar situation, she'd make that mistake again. I have a lot more grace for players like Paul. Paul took Nicole to the final 2 instead of James because Paul thought they could beat Nicole. And they couldn't beat James. And that was a bad read. Azza thought they would lose against Xavier and was going to take Xavier anyways. That's an issue. MJ's another one where, like, maybe MJ thought she had a shot against Chelsea, but she knew she'd beat Cam and didn't make that decision. So I hold that against Azza a lot. She wins HOH, doesn't do a good job with it. I don't have too much to say. I mean, she's a very likable, sociable person, so she should probably do well on a lot of seasons. Place very well, at least. It's just, could she win a season? Like, I can't imagine a much better setup than she had on 23. The Jag move. The Jag move's a little different. It's pretty similar. I was going to say the Jag thing's a little different because, like, he thought he could beat Matt, or thought he had a shot of beating Matt. But he didn't know he was going to beat Bowie. So, like, that's a pretty big ding. It's not good. It helps when you're able to beat the person you take, though, which, you know. Whether Jag knew that or not, that's his own thing. But that's my addendum. So we have Azza, Mimi, Ava, Alyssa, Jimmy, Will, Keanu, Sarah Beth, Cedric, Lauren, T-Core, and now we are up to speed. Coming in at number 31. This name, there's a lot of shouts for this name to be mentioned last stream. But he survived till the second to last stream. Congratulations to the one and only Joseph Rodriguez. 10th out of 16. Nominated just one time. No comp wins. What to say about Joseph? I mean, let's talk about the positives first. Joseph is a very good strategic player. I think he has a good strategic mind. He knows how to maneuver. He knows who to target. He had some issues of, like, I want to take Tucker to the final 2. Certainly that's questionable. Tucker was kind of a crazy personality, though, so, like, I don't think that's even the worst decision. And also, Joseph didn't have much else going for him in the game, so he kind of needed to cling to Tucker. But in general, he never made any huge strategic blunders. Granted, he was never HOH. He basically, and I remember, like, I did the player rankings all throughout BB26. He was always, like, 7th to 5th. He was always in the majority, but on the periphery. When the majority kind of shifted to Tucker's side of the house, he was still in the majority, but on the periphery. He was just positioned in like a safe place the entirety of the game. And I think it was pretty active work by him. It wasn't him just sitting around. He was having a ton of strategic conversations. He was having a ton of like alliance talks. The issue is, socially, he didn't have enough capital to actually make anything of these talks. So when he would talk to MJ for a few hours, talk to Chelsea for a few hours, talk to Quinn for a few hours, it was all just kind of meaningless. But those conversations kept him off the block. He was like everyone's fourth least favorite person in the house, fifth least favorite person. Which, when there's 3 nominees and 1 replacement, you're usually safe. He wasn't terrible socially. No one disliked him. Okay. I think there's some revisionist history on Joseph's social game. I remember it being really bad in covering. Like, no one hated him. He's not a hateable guy. He's a very amicable guy, a nice guy. Not in the Reddit nice guy. He's a nice dude. But socially, he would isolate himself a lot, and he did not have, like, any close relationships. I remember during the season, I was like, which girl in the house is Joseph closest to? Eventually, the answer became Leah, but, like, he had no relationship with Rubina, with T-Core, with Brooklyn, with Chelsea. Like, and I'm sure he would say differently, but from our perspective as viewers. You ever drink olive oil? I do have a lot of olive oil whenever I put it in a food. He threw comps on purpose. I do not care. Joseph could not have won the competitions he threw outside of quizzes. I say the same thing about myself. I threw a lot of competitions. That doesn't mean I'm a comp beast. Joseph is very clearly not a good competitor, right? That's not a strength of his game. Socially, he's strategically he's good, and then physically he's not very good. If T-Core had a lot of respect, Joseph was opposite. Yeah, it got to a point where like the only people Joseph can beat in the final 2 are Angela and Leah. And I appreciate Joseph. He'd be very vulnerable in his camera talks and like, talk about his game and tell us his perspective, which is good. The problem is when you're wrong about stuff, it like makes you kind of easy to clown on. But he would talk about like running the season and being the mastermind and how he's going to win all these jury votes and beat Tucker in the final 2. And it was, I think, an air of sarcasm, but like there's obviously some truth there. But I do think in general, like, I don't give credence to the throwing comps thing, especially when he shouldn't have been throwing comps, right? He couldn't have flipped a switch and started beating MJ and things. I don't believe that. But I do think he positioned himself very well, and he got extremely unlucky on his boot week. I do not think he should have gone home the week he did. Granted, it's his issue for like ostracizing Quinn in a weird way where they should have been super close allies. He shouldn't have even been an option for Quinn. But it was like a series of unfortunate events that led to Joseph's eviction. Chemo staying with that last minute speech it's a fluke. Now I think what happens often is people look at how bizarre his eviction was and use that to say that he would have made it much further or he's super robbed. I don't think Joseph had a shot at winning the game. At that stage, at the final 10, I think he had a better shot than Leah. He had a better shot than Angela, and that was it. I'd probably power rank him 8th. So it's like, I don't... He should have made jury, and then things could change. It's him, Leah, and Quinn. Quinn wins. Or I guess, no, that was Quinn's HOH. Chelsea wins HOH. He's probably evicted at the final 9. Like, that's what I think. Unless he beats her, Chelsea wins final 9, and he's... Yeah, exactly. So I think Joseph, in the season, I was a big Joseph advocate. I thought Joseph was very underrated. I think he's overrated now, where people talk about him as the best pre-juror of all time. I have several pre-jurors above him. I have one from his own season above him. But I do think he's a fine player. I think he's bordering on good. Strategically, he's like, genuinely, I think, the best strategic player on 26 after Chelsea. Pure just understanding of the game, knowing how to maneuver, I'd have him number 2. Maybe 3 with Cam, but I don't know how to judge Cam sometimes. I think Quinn would have been evicted over Joseph at the final 9 if he stayed. I just disagree. I think with the Visionaries being some of the votes, Quinn has such a good shot against Joseph. Like, Quinn was so much better connected, and Quinn ran a really good campaign against... Shit, who was it? Was it Angela at the final 9? Chelsea almost flipped to keep him. Like, Quinn was doing a good job campaigning. It was Chemo. Exactly. So that's a tough spot too. So I think Quinn survives against Joseph, but who knows? Anyways, I don't want to make it sound like I'm too harsh on Joseph. I just think like I feel like there's been too much momentum on this side, and I just I feel like it's gone a little too far. Because I was a big Joseph advocate during the season. My winner pick. I was happy with that winner pick. Felt good during the season as it was going on. But no. Number 30. This guy. Chemo. Chemo is a weird player. He was one of those players who's like, oh my god, he's got so much potential. And then he just stayed the same the entire season. Wins a veto, wins a blockbuster. It was the week 1 blockbuster. Send Matt home, if you guys remember. Nominated 7 times. It's kind of how Chemo plays, but also just BB26 has weird stats like that where everyone was nominated 100 times. Chemo's interesting because strategically, he understands the game. In the trio of T-Core, Chemo, Rubina, Chemo was by far the best strategic player. Socially, he's excellent as well. He's not super active in terms of running around and forging a ton of connections, but he got to a stage in BB26 where he probably beats anyone in a final vote. Him versus Chelsea is close. I think Chemo probably gets the win with T-Core, Rubina, you think Angela, and then could he get like Leah? I would suspect yes. Maybe Quinn, probably not. Nah, Quinn would vote Chelsea. And like, I don't want to say, okay, he's here because he almost won the season. He wasn't really that close to winning the season. However, he was like very well positioned throughout the first like 60 days, and that was because of his social game. He was super good with Tucker. He was really good with T-Core. T-Core was good with the Pentagon. He just had the right connections across the board, and he's a very likable, nice guy. Now, the biggest issue with Chemo is, obviously, he's just not active strategically. The meme of Chemo and T-Core are going to talk to Quinn tomorrow. Like, that was the reality of Chemo's game. And it was a lot. And it was tough to watch. And I prefer a player like Joseph to Chemo. But I think Chemo's social game gives him a better chance of winning than Joseph. Because Joseph gets to the end, he's got to beat someone. Chemo, if he makes it to the end, he probably just wins. And I do think every season Chemo's on, he's going to have tight allies. Now, if his tight ally instead of T-Core is Quinn or Chelsea, he could win the season. The problem is when you get like 3 passive players and make them a trio, there's only so much you can do. I do give Chemo the lion's share of credit for the Cedric flip. It was also much better for Chemo than it was for T-Core. Chemo's the one who like set all the things in motion and also was less close to Cedric, less close to Chelsea, less close to the Pentagon in general, which kind of allowed Chemo to like, okay, all of a sudden the house is reconfigured and Chemo's in the best spot, whereas I kind of liked T-Core playing the middle between Tucker's side and the Pentagon. But yeah, Jerry said it well. After Tucker leaves, really for me what it felt like was after he survived the block against Joseph, it felt like he thought he was playing with house money and the fire was gone. And I get that. It's a long game. He might have just gassed out. But he was already playing passively before then, and after that, it was like there was no light in his eyes. So again, if they both go into a new season, I'd be rooting for Joseph over Chemo. But I do think Chemo's formula is just a little bit more optimal for Big Brother. Just the social game is really important. Final 5 not campaigning with Cam is trying to save him was crazy. Rubina did the same thing at 4. That season was just kind of weird. Is there a command to see previous rankings? I don't want to be annoying. Baylor, just for you. I'll run through it quickly. All right, ready? Ready? We're going to start at 50 because that's all that's relevant. You can pause. You can go back in the VOD to get it slower. Traded you for a sub. I appreciate it. Social media mogul Cory Wurtenberger. All right. You can go back in the VOD to see that. Go back on the earlier streams to see the earlier rankings. That's all I got to say about Chemo. Good social player. Way too passive strategically and comp-wise we didn't talk about, but I think his comp wins make him seem like a better competitor than he was. He won that like table maze, not even a maze, like the balancing ball thing and the double eviction, and his blockbuster was like a crapshoot. Guess how many face like whose face is up the most times blockbuster. How can Lauren possibly be that high? That's absurd. She's a nice person who could win comps. It's that simple. All right. Leah, the BB26 trifecta. I like Leah's game quite a bit. She gets an HOH. I think her HOH is actually not nearly as bad as people think. I think getting rid of T-Core was like necessary. If she gets rid of Chelsea there, she probably loses to the trio. She wins a couple of vetoes. I think she's definitely a competent competitor. She's only nominated the one time she's evicted. Leah's a weird player. She's almost similar to Joseph, where like her strategic game is her best asset. And it's not as good as Joseph's. But like Leah does have that dog in her. She is extremely good with self-preservation. She always does what it takes to survive. She's shit-talking Quinn, and the next day she's Quinn's best friend. She's shit-talking this person, the next moment she's cuddled up with them. Like, Leah is a gamer. She's down to play, and I love that. She is a little bit passive, right? Everyone in BB26 was. So I think in a more active house, she'd probably play more actively. The issue really with her is, like, I don't know what Leah's deal is socially. If she's bad, if the house just didn't like her, if Chelsea just didn't like her, like, why it felt like she was ostracized pretty early. But she ends up on the outs pretty early, just starts playing a little too slow. And she's always just, like, in a bad position. She's always, like, the person who's about to be nominated and then just doesn't because Quinn went and said something. Or Leah made a last-second pitch. Or Tucker changed his mind. It's always just like, it's very similar to America, where like, if there was 3 nominees on BB25, America's in a lot of trouble. If there were 4 nominees on BB26, Leah's nominated every week. But I do think Leah, most of the time, is going to make it this far. She's going to always be on the edge, but just survive. Not to mention, she probably survives a lot of the votes she would have been up in. So, like, Leah socially was pretty bad. Like, she just wasn't connected. And I think my biggest criticism for Leah was she always chose the wrong people to want to work with. Everyone she wanted to work with didn't like her, and everyone she wanted to work with... Sorry, I said that wrong. Everybody she wanted to work with didn't like her, and everyone she didn't want to work with liked her. Quinn was her most valuable ally, and she was shitting on him the entire game. Joseph was a very valuable ally as well, and that was also, like, shitting on him for a lot of the season, and then they got closer. Angela was her closest ally. That's just not a good ally. She wanted to be really close to Tucker. That was not good. Tucker did not like Leah. Wanted to be pretty close to, like, Chelsea with MJ. It wasn't a thing. Had a crush on Cam, seemingly. Cam did not like Leah. Basically, Leah, like, just never could identify where she was supposed to go in the house, who she was supposed to work with. And Ander hit on the other thing. Win equity, I think she has none. I think she beats Angela, and that's it. I think she probably loses to Joseph, but that's pretty close. She could definitely beat Joseph. But she handily loses to anyone in the trio. She handily loses to Quinn. She handily loses to Chelsea, MJ. Maybe Cam, depending on how Cam's perceived. Didn't Leah low-key shut Cam down? It was kind of a both. I think they both shut each other down at different stages, is my recollection. But she did have a case of wanting to work with the cool kids. That was the vibe, and I don't mean to say she's like a high school bully. It's not that deep. It was just like she wanted to work with certain people, and they didn't want to work with her, and it really spiraled her game. And she starts picking up momentum, and then he gets backdoored during MJ's HOH, which it's more bad on MJ than Leah, but it's never good to be backdoored on, theoretically, one of your closest allies' HOHs. The defense I'd give to Leah is I think she played pretty well during her HOH. I don't have much of an issue with it. I know people said they should have targeted Chelsea. She was in a Cory-esque position where she had too many people she needed to target. Like, if I won HOH, my optimal move is target Matt and Jag. And then I probably get evicted next week when Matt or Blue wins HOH. Or Jag or Blue wins HOH, you know? She had to get rid of T-Core. She had to get rid of Chemo. She had to get rid of Chelsea. And she got rid of one of them. She got rid of one of the most important people. So I don't really blame her for that. But in general, Leah is a pretty competent physical competitor. I'd say more than competent. She's pretty solid. Strategically, she's got that dog in her, but she's not always sure where to go. And socially, we didn't see a ton of good from Leah. She definitely got on a lot of people's nerves with the joke stealing and the stories and all that stuff. But I think she's pretty active, and like I wouldn't say that's a huge weakness of hers. The endurance comp win was sick. Yeah, yeah, for sure. And that's an important skill. Like they have comps like that a lot. The scenario to get Chelsea that round was so outlandish. It was hard to get Chelsea out, yeah. Maybe, like, really, like, maybe you just get rid of MJ to try to comp out. Put up Chelsea and MJ, try to target Chelsea. But MJ was a good ally, theoretically. It's a tough spot for her, I think. Did a fair amount of moralizing about how she wasn't going to lie to win the game. That annoyed a few people, of course. But, like, that's more of a, like, it annoys us watching than I think it had a huge effect in the game. Like, everyone on BB26 was doing that. All of the trio was doing that. Leah was doing that. Chelsea was fake doing it to MJ. But yeah. All right, number 28 is Brittany Hoops. I didn't know where to put Brittany. I was very stumped. Her veto wins are impressive. You got to contextualize that Michael is on her team for a couple of these vetoes. Does anyone know how many the Festy Bestie stuff was happening? She wasn't like comp beasting in that way. One of my sleeper All-Star 3 picks. Brittany is a super fan of the show. Not like a live feeder, but she was a big fan. Just one. She got 3 vetoes on her lonesome. It's impressive, right? Good competitor. And that's a really competitive cast. She's competing against Michael and Monty and Turner and Kyle. And so that is very impressive. She should have gone out 5th, but won that veto to save herself. So credit to her there. Nominated a ton of times. Brittany's the type of player where it's like, she gets deep in the game. She is absolutely not a non-factor. 2 vetoes, okay. She's not a non-factor. She's playing. She's active. She's working closely with Michael. She's got a close bond with Taylor as well. She's in the alliance, right? She's there. But no one has a ton of respect for Brittany's game. I struggle to see Brittany beating people in the end. Like, how does a Brittany Turner Final 2 go? I don't know. Certainly Michael beats her. Taylor beats her. Monty probably beats her. It's just kind of a tough spot, I think, for Brittany. She kind of aligned with like everyone who had more win equity than her, because I don't think Brittany is the active type of player to command respect out of a jury. Nominated a lot in BB24. Like 5 nominations in BB24, in my opinion, is worse than 7 in BB26. Right? Because only 2 nominees. Not too many replacement noms and everything. Brittany is like Helena if Helena was American. I think Helena's a lot better than Brittany, to be fair. A bit of credit for helping Taylor to win. She spent a lot of her boot cycle really going in on Monty about how Turner was going to beat anyone. I mean, why would I give her credit for that? Like, I'll give Taylor credit for having Brittany do that. But, like, Brittany getting someone else to win doesn't uplift her game, you know? I just think, in general, Brittany is a smart player who understands the game, who showed herself to be pretty good at competitions, and socially is solid. Like, she's a solid player. I would say good. You know what? Like, I hate when we say the whole, like, only 5 players in BB history are good. Everyone else is terrible. I think Brittany's a good player. But I struggle to see how she wins most seasons, or really any season. I just don't think she has the makings of, like, a jury threat ever. And I don't think she's good enough at competitions to, like, get jury clout that way. She was doing it to get Monty to vote Turner out over her. Just ended up helping Taylor later. I understand that. That makes more sense to me. I don't have a lot more to say about Brittany. Admittedly, I'm not the biggest BB24 sycophant. I could just say fan. It was a good season. I just think in that endgame, Brittany had some of the least win equity outside of Alyssa, and that's just not a formula to win. You know, and she could have gone out a lot earlier had, Michael not won so many comps. Like, when your number 1 ally is the best Big Brother competitor of all time, it kind of gives you a big leg up on the competition. So that's Brittany. Coming in at number 27, Joseph Abden. This might be a bit high for Joseph. I admit. I think Brittany probably deserves to be ranked higher than Joseph. I would understand that. Even when ranking here, it felt wrong. here's what I'll say. Joseph went into the game as the biggest recruit anyone has ever seen. Like, he did not know anything about Big Brother. He didn't understand how jury worked, how sequester worked, anything. Granted, Joseph is excellent socially. Like, I think socially he was really well liked in the house. He gets in with the guys early when the leftovers forms. He's, like, this ranking is genuinely a reflection of Joseph making the leftovers. I give him the most credit for that by far. It's him and Kyle, but I would give Joseph the lion's share of that credit. Yeah, there's some shaky moments. During Taylor's HOH, don't love the way he played that. That was almost ending up on the block there is comical. However, he is obviously a very good physical competitor. He didn't get the chance to win too many comps. He wasn't nominated a ton, so he wasn't playing very many vetoes. Obviously, he's also competing against Michael. I think we all know, especially after watching The Amazing Race, that if Joseph plays another season, he's probably going to be a comp threat. So I'm giving him some credit there, even though the stats don't necessarily show it. Socially, I think he's about as good as anyone. He's not Suri in terms of, like, social magnetism. He can bend anyone to his will. But everyone's going to like Joseph. And strategically, I think he learned the game a lot as he went on. Him getting sniped by Terrence winning HOH and veto during Direfest, that's unlucky. You know, like, I don't think he played perfectly up until that point. I think he should have survived Direfest, and I think that twist did uniquely screw him. Lost to Terrence in a veto. Kind of a goofy veto. It feels weird to hold his comp performance against him, but the stats don't lie. I just think all competition strats are contextual. Right? Like, for the same reason people shit on Jag's comp stats, I think Joseph going out when he did relatively early and competing against such good competitors at every stage, it's just kind of like, it'd be better if he had won, but I think his zero comp wins is not the same as Suri's zero comp wins, for example, you know? Even Suri's, like, are contextual based on the inequitable comps. Definitely the clueless recruit didn't understand the game for a while. Yeah, I hear that. You know what? I'll make an audible right now. I'm not going to go crazy with it, but I will swap Joseph and Brittany. I don't think I could defend it. I'm really trying. I don't think it's a defensible opinion. So you guys got me. I folded. So it's Joseph 28, Brittany 27. I'm sticking to it. I feel like that's better. That feels more right to me. H2, thank you for the 9 months. I will say, I just think Joseph is a better player than Leah and Chemo and Joseph Rodriguez. You know, I think that feels right to me. Better than Brittany? I don't know. So, Morgan, do you think you're going to be ranked today? Of the new era? Let's think about this. Do you think you're one of the 16 best players since BB23? We'll see. We'll see. See if you get ranked. I do know that whenever I end up ranking Morgan, I'm going to get a phone call that night being like, hey, Cory, just curious. I wanted to pick your brain. I noticed you said... it's going to be a legendary chat. Yeah, so at 27's Brittany. 26. Number 26 is a favorite player of mine, personally. Love the way she plays. Maybe not the most optimal play style ever. Izzy. Our GameBot talks are my favorite. It's hard to get on her level, Morgan. Especially hearing America chime in the background. America's got takes. I think the problem is, like, I debate and America just talks. So it's kind of a different thing. I got Izzy here. Here's the thing. Izzy is just, like, has such great strengths and such large weaknesses, right? Like, her strengths are strategically, she's incredible. I mean, she's as active as anyone we've seen. It's probably Izzy and Morgan are the two most active strategic players we've seen in the new era. Straight up. Now, the problem is, Izzy socially, she vibes with the people she vibes with to the millionth degree. And the people who she doesn't vibe with as closely, they know. She's not good at hiding it, and that's why she's such a fun character. Now, I think what separates someone like Izzy from someone like Morgan as a player, because I think stylistically they're pretty similar. Morgan's comp ability gives her so much more agency to do her strategic things. And also, when Morgan screws up, Morgan can bail herself out in a way that Izzy cannot, not reliably. I think Izzy's underrated in comps. I think she could certainly win a lot of comps and against a lot of people. But I don't think it's like a crutch that she can, rely on. Izzy's biggest problem for me in BB25, outside of just like the social stuff I was already talking about, strategically, she just made the wrong decision at every opportunity, basically. For her, week 2, and she had a huge say in the decision making. It was her, Suri, and Jared. Really, just her and Suri making these decisions. Deciding between Riley and Cameron, she chose to evict Riley. Big mistake. Cameron did not like Izzy, and Izzy knew it. Week 3, Izzy is one of the main reasons that Heisem was backdoored. Huge mistake. Heisem was Izzy's #1 ally, and Heisem was not even liked, so if they got to Final 2, Izzy wins. And then they're on the block, Heisem versus, again, her arch nemesis Cameron, and she votes to evict Heisem. When she had the power to keep him. Week 4, good decision. Evict Jag. Another issue with Izzy, by the way, is she, we'll touch on that after. Week 5, she gets to choose between Red and Jag. Again, she makes the wrong decision in targeting Red. Red did not love Izzy, but Red was under Suri's thumb. Bigger mistake for Suri than Izzy, but still a mistake by Izzy. And then in her boot week, it's a disaster, right? Jared does more wrong than her, but she tells me that America's got to go. She says she's not going to use the veto on herself. She tells America she doesn't need her vote. It's just a really bad week. Now let's talk about the biggest criticism of Izzy, which is she played for Suri to win. I believe Izzy when Izzy says she thought it was optimal to work with Suri and Jared till the end of the game. They were super valuable allies, and she thought she could beat Jared in the end. I think that's what she believed. What I will say is thinking that Suri would step aside to let her and Jared be in the final 2 is comical. That's cartoon shit. I think Izzy convinced herself of it. I don't know if that's how she feels, but that's, hilarious to me. That's just a crazy perspective. That blows my mind. The second thing with Izzy in the fields is, Blue was such a terrible player in the house for Izzy. Izzy needed Blue evicted so quickly because Blue was just a better version of Izzy in terms of, not as good of a player, better at competitions. They were going to take Blue as deep as they could, and Izzy constantly would, choose Blue over me, or choose Blue over someone like Felicia, and, that's crazy. I think Izzy was not playing individually on the day-to-day decision-making stuff, and she was playing as a trio when it came to, should we evict Cameron? What should we do with Blue versus Jag? Those kinds of decisions, she needed to think for herself, and I think she was thinking of the team. Because in her perspective, the team making it far was good for her. So I do understand the criticism. I think it's a little bit overstated, and I think more than anything, Izzy was just, caught up in the team as opposed to, always thinking what's best for Izzy. But she was not playing for Suri to win. I don't believe that. Ranking Morgan in the chat is crazy when you think Morgan might be in the chat. I'm not going to spoil my Morgan ranking. I also don't think having Izzy as the 3rd best player on Big Brother 25 is a viable opinion. Humane, let's do this again. We did this last stream. Let's do it this stream. Who are your top 3 BB25 players? Let's hear it. Let's do it. I don't think that's a viable opinion to hold. I assume Suri, Matt, Jag, Suri. Okay, that's different. Rachel, Ashley, Morgan. I'm talking BB25. BB25. You said Izzy was the 3rd. America. I thought I could slip that one in, Kenzie. I don't even get 3rd. You really think Bowie Jane's a better player than Izzy? There's no way. It's close. It's close. I think Izzy goes out early, like, over half of her seasons. But I think she could win a little bit more consistently than Bowie Jane. You know what I mean? I just think Big Brother's such a random game. If you're Bowie, who's likable and can get in the end game every time, that formula feels a little bit better for me. Anyways, I don't think we're going to get an answer, which is okay. That's okay. Let's get into the top 25. This is really a time of great distinction. Suri, Matt, but can't think of a definitive third. Hey, you said Izzy. Stick by your guns. If you've got an opinion, hold that opinion. Because Suri and Matt is top 2. I get that. I just don't know how you could do Izzy is better than myself and Jag, really. If you wanna say she's better than Jag, I get it. I think it's hard. You didn't say Izzy third. I swear you did. I'm gonna check your logs. Oh, you were saying Morgan's third on 27. This is a big misunderstanding. Humane, you and I were tight. Families fight. You know what I mean? Not a big deal. Could Izzy overplay if she's on BB26? She's gonna overplay on every season, but that's fun. And sometimes overplaying is good. Morgan overplayed and it was perfect. You know. All right, 25. Quinn Martin. This is a hot take. I think people are going to say, how the hell do you have Quinn higher than Izzy? Well, I don't. I think we're all forgetting, like, we love Izzy, but the game play is a little bit different from, like, just liking her as a character. Quinn is one of the weirdest Big Brother players of all time. Obviously a great friend of mine. Because he's so good socially. And I mean that. He's excellent socially. Everyone was really upset voting him out. Everyone liked him in the house. Tucker was his op. I don't blame him one thing for Tucker. That's not on Quinn. Quinn was a great friend to Tucker, talked him down from quitting. Like, Quinn was not to blame for his relationship with Tucker. T-Core and Chemo, we criticized them for not wanting to work with Quinn more. They did like Quinn. Liked him a lot. Chelsea and Brooklyn loved Quinn. Leah really didn't like Quinn. By the end was Quinn's #1 fan. Joseph, maybe he's the one who just didn't like Quinn. Socially, I think Quinn is an excellent player. Strategically, there's the problems, right? He has 2 HOHs. His first HOH I don't think is that bad. He's targeting Tucker. Cedric volunteers for the block. And, like, Cedric has a good shot at beating Tucker in the veto, and Quinn needs Tucker out. Cedric ends up going on Quinn's HOH. At that point, the Pentagon was kind of already icing Quinn out, but it was obviously a very bad outcome, and you don't want to put up your allies. The bigger issue, I think, is at the final 10. He kind of, like, egregiously renominates Joseph instead of T-Core, or Chelsea for that matter. I understand why he didn't renom Chelsea. He thought that was someone he could actually work with. Not nominating T-Core, he's explained it several times to me why. It was just a bad read on the house, right? I think he always overestimated his potential to work with T-Core in the trio. Especially when you put up Chemo and Rubina. You can't work with T-Core after that. That's just not how that works. So while he did kind of get blindsided by Leah using the veto last minute, and some of it's on Leah too. Leah knew Joseph would go on the block. It's Quinn's responsibility. He's the HOH. He shouldn't have done it. As HOH, you should be comfortable with all your nominees going home, especially at that stage of the game. Now, to get back to some positives, physically Quinn's good. I think Quinn's a good competitor. I don't think he's a comp beast by any means, but I think he could win endurance competitions. When it comes to physical stuff, he'll be right in the mix. He was good at the egg stuff. I think he'd be good generally at, like, random, kind of skill-based things. The mental comps are an issue for Quinn. Quinn's talked about just being terrible at quizzes and just not having, like, a brain for that kind of thing. But in general, I think Quinn is clearly an above-average competitor. He's an easily above-average social player, and he's a below-average strategic player. But even still, I trust Quinn, like, who makes bad decisions strategically, more than all these players who've never seen the show before. You know what I mean? So even though I've seen Quinn have 2 HOHs and do a bad job on both of them, I still trust Quinn more on his 3rd HOH than I trust MJ. Or Matt Hardiman, or I'll try to think of a better player, like Blue. You know what I mean? I still, and maybe it's delusion, maybe it's coming from, I just trust him more with that power. He was the biggest superfan and didn't do great in OTEV. I don't know. That OTEV competition was just a fever dream. I will say I think low key one of the worst parts of Quinn's game was the like the deepfake HOH power sharing stuff. Him sharing it with Angela, I get it. She's week 1 HOH. You just want to protect yourself. Sharing it with Chemo feels like a lot. You just got to keep that to yourself. Maybe just you and your final two, but he never really had a stabilized final two like that. Yeah. Were you counting his deepfake HOH as an HOH win? If you just. Yes, I mean, he had two HOHs. He didn't win two HOH comps, but. You know. You have to split it one way or the other. Like when he's winning a competition that gives him an HOH. I hear you, though. It kind of misrepresents it. I'd always keep a power to myself. Everyone says that, but you get in there, you get close to people. You have nothing to do but talk. So that's Quinn at 25. I think he would do better on a return, but I think he did pretty fine for the time he was there. He had win equity at the final 9. So coming in at number 24, Bowie Jane, DJ Bowie Jane. Bowie's another weird one where she has so many strengths that are so valuable and then just like the biggest weakness of all time. Let's do weakness first so I can then talk positively about Bowie. Bowie Jane does not have that dog in her. Her priority is always stay in the game as opposed to win the game. This was made explicitly obvious when at the final 6 she wins HOH with Matt and Jag in the house, even Suri in the house, puts up America and Felicia to target America. That was just a losing move. And Bowie and I have talked about it extensively, and she's like, well, if I target Matt and Jag, one of them's going to win the veto, the other one's going to go home, and then they're going to get to compete in the next HOH, and I'm probably going to be evicted. Suri and Felicia don't want to work with me. It would just be me and America. And she's 100% right, but that's a risk you have to take. You have to risk going out 5th so you can maybe win the game, right? And let's be real, if she wins the final 4 veto, she probably evicts Felicia over Matt or Jag. Bowie's priority is just don't get evicted as opposed to win the game. And I think, you know, the one pushback to that I think Bowie would have is like she thought she had a chance against Matt and Jag. And that's just a really bad read on the house, I think. That was just a bad read. She has no win equity. I mean, she does against Felicia. Like, she could beat Felicia. She could beat Blue. She could beat America. Like, there's people she could beat in the final 2. I don't know if she beats America. I don't know if she beats Blue. But she could beat these people. I respected her. Cameron respected her. Matt and Jag respected her. Like, but let's talk the positives. Bowie Jane socially is excellent. I don't care that Suri and Izzy and Jared didn't like her. I think that's a bad take from them. She's very, very likable. Some people would say, like, her hiding her job and, you know, lying about her age put, like, a wall between her and some other... I never felt that. Obviously, you know, I'm speaking from personal experience, and I love Bowie, so take that for what it is. But socially, I think she's very good. Strategically, she has a very good head on her shoulders. Outside of, like, that making... Like, she's a very safe player. She's not a risk taker. However, she does understand how strategy works. She always plays the middle. She always appeals to what the HOH says, always agrees with you, is able to push back when she actually, like, meaningfully wants to change someone's opinion. In multiple points in the season, she did, like, affect nominations. When she was HOH, she didn't let anyone affect her initial noms. She ends up backdooring Cameron, which I think is the wrong move just because Bowie beats Cameron in the end. But I do understand it. Like, for her, she probably should have just targeted Blue, would have been the best play. But, you know, Final Four HOH means nothing. Strategically, I think she's a good thinker. Just watch her talk game with anyone. She definitely understands how to play. Socially, she's good. And physically, she's good physically in the sense of she could have won the wall if she didn't throw it. So that, like, is a testament to, holy shit, she's pretty good. And in quizzes, she won 3 HOHs. Now, you could say quizzes are crapshoots, but when she wins 3 in a row, it kind of is what it is. Like, I'm not going to shit on it. She loses against Cam in the end. Yeah, because Suri and Felicia hate her. I think Suri and Felicia vote for Cam over her. I'm voting Bowie. I think you're probably voting Bowie. Matt and Jack. She could win. She could win. I think she has a great shot at winning. No, she doesn't get Suri, Felicia, or Blue, but I think she might get the other 4. Because Matt hated Cameron. Jag didn't hate Cameron, but I think Jag would probably vote with us for Bowie. Matt and Jag would also go Cam. I think you forget, like, during week 6 when we were flipping, how much Matt hated Cam talking down to him. When Cam was getting evicted, the way he talked about Matt to Matt's face, they really didn't like the guy. And Jag, I think is more up in the air. Jag didn't have as many reasons to dislike Cam. But I think it's close. I really do think it's 4-3, either way. Jag votes for Cam. I could see it. I could see much more with Jag than Matt. I think Matt votes Bowie for sure. Wait. Felicia's not fucking voting for Cameron. Felicia's not voting for Cameron. Not after we tell Felicia what he said about her. No, I'm taking back Felicia's vote. Felicia and Cam hated each other because Cam had this weird hatred of Felicia. And she doesn't like Bowie Jane. I think this is a full bitter vote by Felicia. Felicia bitter voted against Jag. Felicia hated Bowie more. I don't know. They got in a fight at the round table, babe. Cameron and Felicia. Here's what I'll say. Bowie has a better shot of beating Cameron than most people left in the house. At that point, obviously, right? Like, Bowie beats Felicia, and then after that, it's like everything's a toss-up. They saw Bowie as dumb. Yeah, but I vote for dumb over I hate them. Obviously, I don't think Bowie's dumb, but from their perspective. We need to settle this on Cameo. God, no one has honest opinions anymore. You do, not them? What do you mean? I'm confused. I lost my train of thought. What are you referencing? Oh, no, they think Bowie's dumb. I understand that. But I think you forget the volatility between Felicia and Cameron. Cameron begging, like, please don't send Felicia to jury after. Felicia rightfully hated Cam. And I think that feels different to me than, like, thinking Bowie Jane is fucking Bowie Jane, you know? I think what Felicia said about Cameron was like, you can't fake personality. Yeah, please.
At the end of the day, it's like, no, it's pissing me off because I know I'm right. They would 100% vote for, at the end of the day, they're going to be like, Cam is this, like, Christian man who's got a daughter. Was in the army.
I think this is a bad take.
All these things would contribute to the fact, and they're like, oh, Bowie's not even saying she's her real age. Bowie's single. Bowie's like you know what I mean?
They would be misogynistic towards Bowie, but
yes, and I think that during the season, that would outweigh any hatred they have for Cam. At the end of the day, they would justify it in their head. They're like, oh, we're giving this money to a single dad, a single father.
Do you remember when Cameron...
I do 100% think that that's how they would justify it.
Do you remember Cameron campaigning on, I need the stipend for my daughter? Everyone was laughing at him and being like, I want to evict him more now.
But it's not about eviction. This is, in the end, we're already evicted. Who are we giving the money to?
Do you remember how Suri would talk about Cameron in the house?
Yes, but you know how she would talk about Bowie?
But, like, Suri's vote I get. Suri, I think, Suri would vote for Russell Hantz. Suri's vote I get. I just think Felicia and Cameron, like, I think you forget how bad it was.
But she had that same vitriol for Bowie. And at the end of the day, it's like, who am I giving the $750,000 to? All of those factors, the single dad, the fact that he's a Christian, I don't even...
Here's what I'll say. I think Felicia, to this day, doesn't...
And the army thing. That's huge. The fact that they can, like, she would justify...
They didn't bond in the house over it at all.
No,
they didn't like each other.
In the end... That
I don't know why you think this vote, like, it matters here but doesn't matter here.
Because in the end, it's like, who am I evicting from the house? It's different from, like, okay, who am I going to give the money to? I'm already out. Who am I going to give this check to?
I guess here's what I'll say. I think right now, if Felicia did a live and you say, what do you think about Cameron in the house? What do you think about Bowie? She speaks very highly of Bowie and very lowly of Cameron.
You can text her and be like, hey, if it's Bowie and Cam in the final 2, who do you vote for? Just like that. And she would respond.
That's a weird thing to text Felicia right now.
3 years later. Anyways.
I just think I do understand the perspective of like America. I think Felicia partly voted for Matt over Jag because the Christian. What word did they use? Like all American, that kind of weirdness. Um, but I feel like they hated each other by the end. Like Felicia walking into Cam's HOH room and be like, "Do you have a problem with me personally?" Anywho, the point is, I think Bowie taking out Cameron was a mistake. I think everyone agrees on that. She should have targeted Blue, but she was in such a good position where she could really do anything. I'll text Felicia. Screw it.
Also, the way they saw the game, the way Felicia was seeing the game, is that Cam was a snake and a rat, right? But he was in control and he had agency. They saw Bowie as having no control, being a huge floater. She would go from one person in power to the other, whereas they saw Cam as this figure that did have power. Even if he didn't, babe, think about how scared they were of Cam. Like, they, not scared per se, but like, they thought Cam was a threat to them. They never saw Bowie as a threat because they didn't respect Bowie, where there was that level of respect for Cam.
I think they had more respect for Jag than Matt.
What?
I think they had more respect for Jag than Matt, and they voted for Matt because they liked him more.
They had more respect for Jag than... No, I think they had more respect for Matt.
I mean, Suri explicitly said that Jag was the alpha and voted for Matt.
Yeah, but...
Felicia voted for Matt because he was the All-American.
Why are you bringing up Matt Jag? This is about Bowie and Cam. They saw
You know
Bowie,
exactly why I'm bringing it up. It's the analogy.
They saw Bowie as this floater who had no power the entire game. She would... No ideas. She had zero thoughts in her head. She would go to whoever was in power and just nod and say yes and go along with it. Where they saw Cam as like this threat who was... Again, you're thinking of it because you've consumed so much BB25 and you know what was actually going on. But from Felicia and Cerise's perspective, Cam was a threat and somebody that they regretted not getting out earlier. Because they saw him as like somebody that was going against them. Even though we know he wasn't, he was totally Team Cerise the entire time. In their head...
But he was anti-Felicia the entire time.
In their head...
He disparaged her in public every moment he had.
It doesn't matter. Felicia still would... Anyways, I'm not going to...
We're going to find out. I texted Felicia. I think the other thing is...
How did you word it? I don't trust you.
I mean, the text was, "Hello, super random question that America and I were arbitrarily arguing about. Cameron and Bowie in the final two. Who do you vote for to win?" I've never seen America have such an argument, though. She has very strong opinions sometimes, but she usually doesn't have as many, points. Public perception means a lot. Not to Felicia, I'll tell you that much. I do think, maybe BB24, it's like Taylor versus Monty. Felicia doesn't give a shit what the fans thought of her. You know what I mean? I will say, though, in the world where they're in the final two, Cameron probably literally won out. You know what I mean? And maybe that swings things, but, I like to think of it, if we're voting... at the moment Cam's evicted, right? Or just putting Cam's 9th place game against Bowie's 3rd place game. I think it's more interesting. So that's why I got Bowie at 24. Coming in at number 23 is 12th place finisher Brooklyn Rivera. What's wrong with Brooklyn's game, though? Be real. What's Brooklyn's problem as a player? I mean, I think every week of BB26, I had her ranked as the best or second best player until she was evicted. Now, her campaign when she was on the block next to Chelsea and Cam was not great, but I didn't hate it. Chelsea played the company man card and was like, "Tucker, you're my guy. I could work with you, no problem." Whereas Brooklyn played the "I'm targeting Tucker" card. I think both are valid options. I just think Tucker's hold on the house was a little bit too strong at that point. So, I didn't hate Brooklyn's campaign. She campaigned hard. I think Brooklyn's biggest issue in the house, she was too passive for how much ability she had. She was more active than most people in the house, but Chelsea clearly was more active than Brooklyn. And even though I think Brooklyn was more, naturally talented at bonding and forming relationships and just general strategic gameplay, Chelsea's activity just, put her in a much better spot. So when they're on the block together, Chelsea's going to survive. Even though Chelsea ends up winning the blockbuster. She's an emotional player. She got into it with Kenny, Angela, and Tucker. The Kenny thing, I think, was good for her game. Being, that's fine. Who cares? Um, Angela, I don't blame her at all, and then Tucker, I don't blame her at all. It's just kind of like I don't blame her for beefing with those people. BB26 had a pretty wild cast. She let Leah and Mackenzie slip through her fingers. Exactly. I think that was her passiveness kind of coming back to bite her in spots. But she is a very level-headed person. She's really good on one-on-one conversations, just making you feel comfortable. She was super tight with Quinn. I think they should have been a final two. She had basically a final two with Chelsea as well that should have run the game if Tucker had just like gone out when he was supposed to during one of these blockbusters. And I think it's hard to poke a hole in Brooklyn's game. I think if she comes back, she has a very good shot to do extremely well. Jury's still out how good of a competitor she is. I would assume she's fine. She did okay on the wall. But you'd think if she's up against any like really legitimate, strong competitor, she'd have a tough time doing well. But she could beat like a lot of the lesser competitors, which I think is valuable. And like in quizzes, you'd think she's a smart person. She'd do well. Ultimately, she can't be higher because she got 12th. Placement isn't everything, but it does matter in terms of I just didn't get more data. I didn't get to see her play more, and other people I have a better read on. But socially, she's excellent. Strategically, she's very solid. Physically, she's probably fine. And that's just a really solid Big Brother player who I think got unlucky with Tucker just existing the way he did. So, that's where I got Brooklyn. She's another one of those players who like is probably overrated at this point because she didn't do that much. But I do think I was someone who was overrating her a lot as well, and I might still be overrating her, but I feel good about this ranking. This one doesn't feel out of place to me. So coming in at number 22. This is probably the hardest player to rank, actually. I've said this about a few people. I don't know what the fuck to do with Kyle, because he's actually a much better player than this, but his fallout or his downfall was just so egregious. Like, what do you do with Kyle? Him and Joseph form the leftovers. Give him a lot of credit there. In terms of, like, raw, how good of a player he is, he's probably the best player on BB24, but he makes these, like, racial connections and starts targeting people on racial lines, getting himself booted out. It's just kind of complicated. Like, I don't know what to do with Kyle. My read is, like, if he's going to get into that kind of trouble in one season, he's probably going to do it on another. So, it kind of is what it is with Kyle. Socially, very active. I think strategically, he's extremely active. I give him a lot of credit for, like, bouncing around. And his pregame stuff is some of my least favorite shit I've ever seen. The Mormon TikTok vibe he was giving, and like heavy on the TikTok, was an issue for me. But he comes in the house and he's like a very competent player, good physically. He's just a really good player with a fatal flaw of being weird, you know? I've been lurking. Some of your people might be coming up soon, Morgan. Kyle before he got with Alyssa. Yeah, he did get in trouble there. He got in a corywurtenberger situation where like he was talking down Alyssa in the house, but still trying to keep her. And it's a hard line to balance, certainly, where, like, you want to make sure your allies know you're not going to pick her over them, but you actually still need her in the house, first of all, because you care for her, but more importantly, like, she is a perfect number for Kyle. Like, it is not good, Alyssa leaving. So it's just kind of a complicated situation with Kyle. I don't know where to rank him, really. I think some of the players I have ranked above him are probably worse players, but they're not going to make that mistake. So it's just kind of complicated. He's not going to come back, though. I think we've seen all we can see of Kyle. If you do want to watch more Kyle, though, go on TikTok right now. I'm sure he's live battling somebody. And as Bowie James told me, he's like a fearsome battler. You do not want to be matched up against Kyle. He's a menace. Genuinely a menace. By the way, Morgan, how'd Eviction Notice go? We should play the Amazing Race Roblox game. It's very good. So that's all I got to say about Kyle. Had the potential to be a very good player. So coming in at number 21, Vinny Panaro. I'm going to talk about the next two players in the context of each other, because I have Vince and Turner. And I had a lot of trouble figuring out how to place these two. third place, and then fourth. Damn, 2 games. It would take 4 hours. Between Vince and Turner. So, here's the weird thing. I think in every facet of the game, Vince is probably better. However, Vince has a flaw. That flaw being his decision making. So, let's talk about Vince first. Strategically, Vince understands Big Brother at a very high level. He's a super fan, of course. He gets the game. He knows he has to build out a structure. He knows the type of people you got to take to the end. He understands Big Brother. That's good. It's a high bar that most people don't clear. Socially, probably his best facet of the game. He was truly connected throughout the entire house. Everyone had something going on with Vince. He was super active socially and strategically. He's obviously super tight with Morgan. Zach is also, like, how many number ones did he have? Obviously, Morgan's a number 1. Zach's a number 1. Lauren's a number 1. Those are 3. Keanu becomes a number 1 at one point. Before that, he's a number 2. Kelly's a number 1 at one point. He just is, like, swimming in options. Now, the issue is, when he wields power, he's pretty unreliable. His week 1 HOH, I don't think was that bad. Putting up Kelly was the wrong move, but Kelly was so desperate to volunteer. You don't want to make enemies. I understand it. I'm not holding that against him too bad. He also comes out of that week in a decent spot compared to, recent first HOHs. The rest of the HOHs get a little bit rocky. I mean, let's jump to the most infamous, which is his final 7 HOH, where he is desperate not to put up Lauren. Morgan really wants Lauren on the block. Lauren ends up on the block. Funnily enough, I feel like it's lost to history that Lauren doesn't even go home that week. But it kind of gets swept under the rug because of the double eviction. I think they all thought they were his number 1, but in reality they weren't. I'd say Lauren and I were his closest allies. So my perspective early in the game was Vince did not have a number 1. Vince was just playing the field. From our perspective, it felt like Vince and Zach were super tight. You 3 were a close trio, and Lauren was actually his real number 1. But he would have thrown Lauren under the bus if he needed to. That's the power of Vince. Everyone is expendable. Now, obviously that takes a turn when you and him become much closer allies, and it's like, now it feels like Vince is not playing as self-interested. He kind of sees the game slipping away from him and doesn't do anything to get it back. Another thing, I think Vince is incredibly, I don't want to even say lucky, because it's his play that allows Ava to select him in the White Locust. Good on him. Rachel going there is, like, monumentally important for Vince's game. Vince has so much trouble if instead of Rachel going there, even someone like Will goes. Ashley goes. Someone on his side would be much worse, Kelly or Keanu. So that helped him a good amount. But at this final 7 HOH, he gets totally just, like, forced into putting up Lauren by Morgan, which is good for Morgan's game, terrible for Vince's. And I think at that point, it's kind of impossible for Vince to win, at least against Morgan. At that point, the perception is what the perception is. And I think what was so frustrating about Vince, watching him all season, was he knew it. Vince knew it's going to look so bad if I do this, and then he did it anyways. And I think Vince always kind of had a lot of, like, perception issues of just being concerned with how people would view him outside of the house. And, like, I get it. Trust me. I'm guilty of that as well. But I think it guided his decision-making a little more than, obviously, you'd like. He gets into a final 2 situation where he really could have beaten Ashley. If he wins final HOH and cuts Morgan, I think he has a good shot of winning the game. The problem is he probably takes Morgan and loses. So that's, again, like, that's not good. Does he get into a final 3 situation where he's locked out of winning? Pretty close, if not totally. Vince is just weird. Like, socially, he's so good. He has such a magnetism to him. He's so good with self-preservation. The week he was on the block with Zach and Keanu, I thought was one of his best weeks of gameplay. I was fucking blown away by the fact that he is able to survive against both of them. Surviving against Zach, who we thought was, like, this social god at that point. He wins the wall. I think he does a good job that HOH. I think he should be targeting Rachel, but that all gets cleaned up by White Locust. The last big decision to talk about with Vince is, did he make the right move? Sorry, Morgan. Evicting Riley instead of Morgan. I've been on the record. I think it was the wrong move in the moment. While Morgan obviously ends up being an invaluable ally to him, he never has a shot to take out Morgan again, really. At that point, you don't know how good at comps Morgan's going to be, but, like, that's one issue. The bigger issue is, like, Morgan's side of the house is a lot better at Big Brother, and they're, like, less close to Vince. Just think about it. Like, Rachel and Vince, they were working together, but they were always ops. Ashley and Vince were never close. Morgan and Vince, sure. Will and Vince were fine. And then the other side of the house was, like, Lauren. Obviously, Riley, Keanu, Kelly. Like, all the worst players in the house who all loved Vince. So while losing Morgan, I think, is a big issue for him there, I still think he's better off on that side of the house. Really, it would have been great for Vince if Mickey didn't win that blockbuster and he was able to keep both. That would have been huge for him. I don't think Vince lacked self-awareness at all. I think he was very self-aware and then made the decisions regardless. You know what I mean? He's also good at comps, which helps. So, all things considered, Vince has the tools to be the best Big Brother player ever. But just something about the way he makes decisions, he doesn't have that, like, dog in him to make the decisive move when he needs to. Yeah, I'd argue too self-aware. Yeah, exactly, Lexi. Like, I don't think self-awareness is an issue for him at all. That's why I loved his interviews preseason. I thought his interviews were so, like, look, everyone's going to perceive me this way, and that means this. I saw myself in him a lot. But yeah, I got Vince here. Let's talk about Turner, who's obviously a similar archetype to Vince. I think Vince is almost better than Turner at everything in the game, but I think Turner lands on the right decision more often than Vince does. Like, Vince will line up all the bowling pins perfectly. He'll, like, have the perfect motion with the ball and then just throw it into the gutter, whereas Turner's going to, like, do the two hands between his legs and strike. Turner is not active socially. He's not active strategically. He's active socially. I give him that. He basically does what his closest allies tell him to do. He was just Pooch's guy. Then he was just Kyle's guy. Then he was just Monty's guy. And that's just not a winning formula. He gets to a final three where he can't beat either of them, even though he's somehow perceived as a big jury threat. He's good at competitions. Give him that, especially some of the more weird ones. Socially, he was very, like, around all the time. He had relationships with everybody. He's in the leftovers, but he was also close with the Daniels and the Nicoles and the Amiras. He did a very good job. His HOH taking out Amira, which led to the leftovers. I don't give Turner basically any credit for, like, making the leftovers, but he was the one who made the move to make it all possible. Very similar to Cameron putting Izzy and Felicia up. He didn't flip the vote, but he played a big role in that being possible. Turner is just a weird one where it's like, how does he win a season? He almost needs to be like the Robin to someone's Batman, and that Batman has to be super unlikable. You know what I mean? And I think that is a formula I think he could win. It's just a little bit hard to imagine. I just don't think he has that, like, strategic dog in him. But unlike Vince, I think he doesn't put up his number one ally at the final seven, or at least his number two ally, his biggest asset in the game at that point. Even if he's unable to do a lot of what Vince was able to do. Morgan, are you modded? Morgan, you're modded. Have your way with him. Actually, no. I don't want you to have to time out people for your criticism. I'm on it. I'm on it. Humane, I'm going to time you out, and it's not just because Morgan's in the chat. It's a weird way to talk about people when you know they have personal relationships. That's a 10-minuter. Hit the showers. Take a lap. Take a lap. It's okay, Morgan. The bomb's been defused. No, but, like, literally, I think it's a weird thing where, like, you talk about people the way you would talk about them on, like, Big Brother Reddit threads, and then you're actually talking to those people directly through a chat, or, like, they're streaming and you're in their chat, and you have to be appropriate based on that. Like, if you guys were like, oh, America was such a shit player, she'd always leak information. This is not the place for that. That's a weird thing to say. If you want to say it in your own thread on Reddit, I get it, right? I'm not going to go patrol other places and police your opinions. Anywho. That's where I have Turner ranked. I don't think I have too much more to say. He played a huge role in the season, had a lot of agency. I just don't think he's active enough and forceful enough with said agency. So, that's Mr. Turner. Number 19. This, I think, might be a hot take. I'm curious what y'all are going to think. I think you're going to think I have this person too low, meaning I should rank them better. I have Hannah Chada, who's awesome. Love Hannah. 5th place, an HOH of veto, nominated 3 times. I think Hannah, this is, okay, let me cover my criticism with a ton of compliments, okay? This is going to be a backhanded compliment, but I mean it in the nicest way. I think people pretty drastically overrate Hannah's game because they properly rate Hannah as a person. Essentially, they all recognize how brilliant Hannah is as a human being and then retroactively put that on her game. Which, in fairness, it's kind of hard to shine in the cookout when Tiffany's your number 1 ally. Tiffany was steering the ship the entire way. Hannah was her sidekick. There's no shame to that. Like, she's number 19. She's good. In general, you just look to BB23, and there's very little, like, ownership you can give Hannah. Her kind of foursome outside of the cookout is her, Tiffany, Derek, and Claire. And she probably has, like, the least win equity of any of them. I mean, she has more win equity than Claire and Derek by virtue of being in the cookout. But I think in a Final 2 setting, like, Hannah probably is doing the least strategically, and she's the least active. And she would probably get the least jury votes in, like, a normal jury setting. Socially, she was good. People like Hannah. It's hard not to. Strategically, she has a sharp mind. Physically, she was, perfectly fine. It was a very competitive season. But she's in the cookout. She makes it to 5th. It doesn't make any sense for Ozzy to target her. Still does. Her and Tiffany just get slaughtered when it comes to the final 6. I don't blame Hannah for, like, sticking with the cookout. Obviously, that decision makes a gajillion percent of sense to me. However, it's just hard to, like, reward her for the gameplay when the gameplay was sticking with a final 6 in which you had no win equity. Right? It's just kind of a tough spot. Derek X has not been rated yet, no. So in a weird way, like, Season 23 was good for Hannah, having the cookout, such a strong alliance, but I think I would prefer to have seen her on a season where she could play a game, honestly, like me, where she's, like, in the middle and kind of playing the field. I think she's capable of it. I think she would do very well. But yeah, we didn't get to see it. I'm surprised you have Cam, BB26, this high. Yeah, I mean, look, he was in contention for all of these spots. So I don't have much to criticize Hannah on. I mean, she's smart, she's strategic, she's social. Physically, she's totally fine. But I think she's just got a lot less on her resume than everyone above her. And I think her playstyle is fine because she's likable and respectable enough to win in the end. A lot of respect for her also doing it at 21. I know how tough that could be. But I don't think she ever had enough agency or was active enough to, like, justify putting her above some of these other people. Which, I'm going to move on to the next person because I think they're also very important to discuss in this context, is Claire. Because Claire and Hannah worked very closely together. I think Hannah is conventionally considered the better player. I just think Claire was set up much better to succeed than Hannah was in their little Final 4 situation. Claire, Hannah, DX, and Tiffany. It's kind of weird because, like, who was Derek X closer to? Claire or Hannah is pretty close, actually, right? However, I think the likely Final 3 would have been, like, Claire, Tiffany, and Hannah, and I like Claire's odds more. Claire was definitively going to cut Tiffany. She was setting herself up in a Steve-esque route. You know what I mean? She was going to be the Steve, get to the Final 3, have a 50-50 shot at winning HOH, cut Tiffany, win the game. That was a good formula. I like the play. But the cookout exists. They reveal themselves to Claire, and there's not much for Claire to do. It's just kind of a tough spot. You know what I mean? I think she literally was playing optimally for a while. She wastes her HOH. She has one of the most... She has the invisible HOH, basically. uses it to do Tiffany's bidding, but she thought Tiffany was like an endgame person for her. Like Steve did Vanessa's bidding a ton. And I think that's what Claire thought she was doing. It was just, there was something bigger happening that she was not aware about. So I criticize her for that HOH. I just think it gets more shit. It's just devoid of context sometimes. I think the context helps Claire. I think if she came back, she would do excellent. Socially, everyone loves her. Strategically, she's as big of a nerd about Big Brother as anyone. And comp-wise, I think she's probably like on the weaker end, but she's no pushover. She could win some stuff, especially mental stuff. Winning the Amazing Race certainly, makes me think that's more likely. So I think Claire is an excellent player who ended up on a season where she didn't have a great shot to win, and she did pretty well with what she had. And I think she was setting herself up more for a win than Hannah, even though Hannah obviously is going to get further in the game. Is anyone pushing back against my Claire above Hannah ranking? I thought this would be a controversial one. I agree, I get it. Okay, we're in agreement. What a joyous occasion. Okay, now we are ranking number 17, the final person to not make the top 16, the final stream. I'm just going to rip off the Band-Aid. I have America. I have America. I'll let it settle. I'll let it settle for a second before talking about it. America over Hannah is wild. Well, look whose fucking chat you're in. I didn't want to start the next stream off on like a low, having America at 16, so I figured this is a better spot. All right. Let's talk about America. I think compared to these two, because I think these three are all kind of in like a same tier for me, America is the messiest. I think that's indisputable. America is looser with information, spread shit around the house, gets herself in trouble 100%. Now, I think strategically, she is far more forceful and like willing to take big swings than the two of them. I love that. I think we all as Big Brother fans appreciate that kind of gameplay more, right? Why is her first day win not counted? I don't have a day one competition category, unfortunately. America's DRs were so good. If we're factoring in DRs, it's a whole different game. Captain Will, all of a sudden, needs to be re-ranked. So she spreads information a little too much, of course. I think America is willing to make a big move, which I don't think Claire and Hannah are in that category. However, sometimes I think America's like realization of the power in the house is Suri and Izzy and them inhibited her ability to like protect herself. She'd be so aware these people need to go that she would be unwilling to talk to them. And I think in some ways America has the Riley syndrome. She's much better than Riley. Where like America wants to play with her friends. And that's a very powerful impulse in the house. Like I get it. I was so happy when I got to start working with Jag instead of like Cameron and Red. You know what I mean? But America, the entire season, just wanted to work with Blue and wanted to work with Jag. Obviously, we worked together. She wanted to work with the people she liked. So when it came time to like break bread with Suri and Izzy, she would actually do very well in those conversations. She just wouldn't have enough of them. Now let's talk about the highs. America was partially responsible for one of the best moves in recent seasons. It's debatable if the Izzy flip was a great move for Cory. It is not debatable if it was a good move for America. It was an excellent move for America any way you slice it. And I give her a lot of credit for getting to Cam. That was very important, flipping Cam. And contributing to flipping me. I've explained a lot, like my perspective, why I chose to flip had, I think, less to do with like America's Matt. And like, it all added up. For me, it was more so just like, you start looking at the numbers and we're going to have like Bowie in the end game and Matt in the end game and Mimi in the end game and all these people were closer to Suri. However, her getting the information that Matt played in Paths of Power and her just generally like pushing the flip on me for so long is a huge reason why it happened. Not to mention during the flip, I think she's a large reason why Matt and Jag feel good about it. They don't trust her, but she does a really good job like egging them on and like, getting a rise out of them, getting them excited and, happy to be part of this team. It should also be mentioned that America was kind of screwed on the season. I don't know how much win equity she had on day one because of the kind of misogynistic makeup of the men in the house and some of the women. Like, it felt like kind of a hell scenario for America. I don't know how she wins Big Brother 25. It almost feels like she did maximize her best. Like, she did the best she could with what she had. Win equity is a problem where, like, you get into jury, and I don't think she beats most people. She loses to Matt and Jag. Bowie, I think she does beat because Suri and Felicia, I think, vote for America. She beats Felicia. I think she loses to Blue, probably. So that's basically it. She beats Cameron, I think. Yeah, I think she beats Cameron. It's kind of tough to... You never know with Cameron. How does he get to the end? So, like, I think America did do a good job there. Talk about making the most of shared information. Yeah, I mean, she did that, but also... I think part of her problem would be, like, I would tell her information that she would then spread and then get herself in trouble, So that's just kind of a mixed bag. Like, when you're sharing a ton of information, a lot happens, good and bad, right? I think the other thing America struggled with was at the start of the season, and apparently she did this on the challenge too, she's just kind of shy. So it takes her like a week or two to get into things, which on BB27, BB26 would have been okay. On BB25, things were moving quick. So she was like, at one point, the only person not in a named alliance with Suri, which is like a problem. But I don't think she's going to get evicted early, so she should be able to ingratiate herself most seasons. But like, it is just something where I think if she goes on All Stars, even knowing some of these people, it might take her a week to like, get in there. In general, I think America strategically knows the game as well as anybody. Socially, I think she's way better than BB25 showed. Obviously, the makeup of the house was just kind of tough for her. Comp-wise, I think America is a bit of a panicker. Obviously, going on the challenge, I think she's like, physically, she's fine. She could win competitions. And I'm sure she's like a lot more, confident in her competition ability and would like be less nervous. But I know like during quizzes specifically, she would get a little bit shaky. Because we all know America like would do well in quizzes. She's smart. So I think in general, like America comp-wise, she's not 0 comp wins. I think she should be like Claire or Hannah. Like 2 or 3 comp wins, 1 comp win. Like she should win stuff if it's not just Jag with hurdles every time. And I think the reason why America is one of y'all's favorite player and one of the fan base's favorite players of the recent years is because America is a mover and a shaker. She is absolutely willing to make a big move, take a swing when she needs to, and those are the kinds of things you have to do to win the game. I think a lot of people absolutely question, who would Blue have put up at the final 8? Who would Cory have put up at the final 8? Who would Surya put up? No one questions America's noms. America's best friend is Jag. She's putting up Jag and Matt. And I think that's just because of who America is in her DNA as a player. So, obviously a flawed player. Everyone is. But I think number 17 feels about right for me. That's it. That's our rankings for today. I'm going to go watch the Lakers game, but do we have any questions about the player rankings? Any big criticisms? We'll do a quick recap, I suppose, of today's rankings. So we started with Joseph Rodriguez. Then we went Chemo. We had the big BB26 Rush. Then Joseph, who, maybe ranked a bit high. Brittany, Izzy Gleicher, Quinn, Bowie, Brooklyn, then Kyle, then Vinny, Matt, Chada, Claire, ending with the one and only, the bold and beautiful America Lopez. Are you from Florida? Why the Lakers? I don't think the Heat are very compelling to watch right now, so I'm just kind of being a Lakers fan for the time being. Really just a LeBron fan. But I'm not a Lakers. I'm a Heat guy at the end of the day. Can I be a Heat fan when I watch more Lakers games than Heat games? That's its own question. But like, I don't got to watch Nikola Jovic drop 4 points on 6 attempts. Like, I'm not interested. player fan in team sports are cringe. Yeah, sure. I'm a Heat fan, but you know what? On my off time, I get to watch whoever I want. Humane. Humane, you're one hot take away from another 10-minute. I love America. I don't get how you have her so high. Should be about 10 spots lower. Look, I think that's a fine opinion to hold. It's just like, you can't say with a straight face that, like, America is convincingly worse than any of these players. America and Quinn, America and Bowie, America and Brooklyn. Like, I think you could make the case for sure. I think America's messy. It's like, how much do you value the, like, active risk taker versus the passive make it far kind of player? But I think there's a certain category of players, and she fits within them. I saw someone talk about Leah and MJ being the same players. I just don't think that's true. MJ strategically was so much worse than Leah, and MJ was so bad with self-preservation, whereas Leah was really good with it. MJ should have been evicted like 5 times. Leah was only close to being evicted the time she was evicted. Derek X, way higher than I expected. Derek X, you have to value competitions. When you're doing like Derek versus Claire, I think Claire is like better strategically, a little worse socially, and then a lot worse in comps. Derek X's comp stuff is a big deal. MJ being a comp beast helps, yeah, but that's why she's not like the worst player of all time who went out second, right? Have you ranked yourself yet? No. No. I think I'm firmly top 16 of the new era. My top 10 of the new era seems like a stretch, but I think I clear this group by just a bit, a hair. All non-cookout players on 23 got unlucky by the cast. I don't want to like dwell on it too much because it feels lame, because it's fine, but of course it's a tough setup. You know, if Cory's on BB23, I don't think I'm able to crack into the cookout. Right, that just is what it is. I think there's revisionist history on Leah in the pre-jury. No, Leah was rough in the pre-jury. Don't get me wrong. It's just, here's what I always say. Like, when people say Leah, I feel like she's ranked way too high. You got to tell me who should be ranked above her. Because the players from BB26 who are, like, worse, like, it's Rubina, it's T-Core. Like, I just think Leah's better. If you think this person should be ranked higher than this person, I'll hear you out. But just saying this person's too high or too low, there's a lot of bad players, man. Like in that meme, hey, can you include me, like the cookout and Cory? Yeah. Chemo, Rubina, and T-Core are better. I just disagree. Yeah, I disagree. I mean, that's just philosophical. I think Chemo, Rubina, and T-Core are so passive strategically. Especially Rubina and T-Core. Like, T-Core, you can make the case. Oh my god, why am I being blinded? You can make the case that, like, T-Core and Chemo are so good socially, but beyond that, Cedric's greater than Leah. Cedric went out week 4, all because of Cedric's own doing. The lighting's so bad. Jesus. We're at the edge of good players. Look, I would say, honestly, you know, I would say the good players start. I think maybe Brooklyn is the first person I'd be like, she's good. I think Brooklyn's pretty good. Did Felicia respond? She did respond. 1 second. America, come out here.
Oh my god. No, you got a big smile on your face. I know what that means. If this doesn't... Okay, first off, we gotta say, this... If it goes your way, it's not real because it's 3 years after. Felicia's gotten to know people outside of the game. She's gotten to talk to... You know what I mean?
Okay, I think that's fair.
He's smiling, so he won.
I genuinely think...
smiling.
I genuinely think that's fair, but it goes both ways, right?
What is it?
Like if she was going to vote for Cameron.
Let me see the text.
I'm going to read it. She starts with, oh, that would be really hard. So really it would come down to the questioning. I think we all agree.
No.
So really, anything she says after this, damn, probably Cameron if he had made it to the end. If we had been stupid enough to let him get there, he would be more deserving.
Yes.
But it would have been tough. And you know Bowie's a lawyer. She's good into questioning.
No. Let's go.
I think that's a 70% win for you.
I knew it.
But the good thing is, it's 4 years after the fact.
I'm getting my grade.
So she can't really know who she was gonna vote for. It's all revisionist.
I knew it. Let's go. I'm surprised you're smiling. Let's go.
It's all just fun and games. I feel like Arthur. I hope that didn't look like I was gonna punch her. I'm like clenching my fist. I guess the implication of that is, oh, I'm gonna punch someone. I'm not gonna punch America. Don't worry. America wins the debate. Best persuasive speaker in the world. Where I've felled off, dude. Ugh. Anyways, fun stream. Good resolution. This is huge, and that's why America's ranked number 17, folks. That's why. Okay. Is anyone live to raid? Do we have any friends online? Did Morgod hop out of the chat and onto the stream? No, she didn't. Fake as hell. Quinn's not live either. Dwight just went live. Say fucking less. My dog. Say hi to Dwight for me. Stick around for some Clock Tower. The ultimate homie, Dwight. I have a Survivor question for him, okay? Is Jonathan Young's chances in Survivor 50? Are people overrating his chances or underrating his chances? Let's see. Anyways, see y'all. Not going to stream for a couple days.